Yo, welcome. You're on the Digital.WAV podcast. I'm Star. I'm here with Jin, one of my
Yo,
good friends, artist colleagues,
what up, what up?
and basically, we're here with the vibes today.
Alright, so let's just briefly touch base on what we've been up to. Is there anything you've been working on recently, Star, or like any projects, anything personal life going on that you want to share with the people?
Shit, there's big things coming. Some I can't touch on like right now, but people will see how it pans out. But as far as what I can, I've been working on the Divergence album, as a lot of my supporters know. It's really close. The masters are almost done. So that's going to be like a dark EDM, grunge, and extreme trap type album. And Jin already knows because he produced some tracks on it as well.
Yeah, I have the privilege of being on a couple of the tracks on the album. Excited. It's sounding really good.
Yeah.
Some dope
Anything we
shit.
get on just snaps, bro. Like, I don't know what it is. Recently, there's some of the best tracks on there. And I think the people, like, it's going to open up new gates and new doors because it's gonna be like people are finally gonna catch up and see what I've been doing for the last like 5 or 6 months. I feel like my music has been lacking behind of where I've actually been, what I've actually been up to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
So
sometimes
that
it's good to just like make sure something's right before you drop it, even if it does take a while. 'Cause, I mean,
yeah
we can make a million songs, but you got to make them right before you drop them. You know what I mean?
yeah that's the worst thing. Like if you rush music and you put it out, then you end up having to like just cancel it. Like you're like, oh, I fucking rushed it. Like even just recently, I did that with a song. It wasn't the biggest deal, you know. Like I just copied the all the stuff, so when I redistribute it, it'll be easy. But I just realized it was too repetitive because I just wanted to get it out, but I wanted to like make the ending unique. Switch up how the mix felt and stuff.
Yeah.
But mainly, I'm just excited about Divergence. That's mainly what I've been working on. Just plotting some music videos I want to shoot and something that's to be announced as well. What about you, bro? What have you been excited about? What have you been feeling?
As far as like music related, I do have that lo-fi album. I haven't really been working on the masters or anything for that. I've just kind of been living life and focusing on like I don't know. I've been cooking a lot recently, trying to like get in my bag, trying to eat a little bit healthier. Gained a lot of weight this last year, I can't lie. And I just started going back to the gym, so I'm just trying to get my health in check. But yeah, I've been having fun cooking. I can't lie. It's like some dope
What
shit. I just
what do you
made
be cooking? What do you like to cook?
well, um, I don't really have a lot of recipes that I got right now, but I've been making a lot of chicken. Like some just roasting the chicken,
Chicken way.
chicken way. But
I
yeah,
love
like
chicken.
it's just healthy, not too many calories. That make it into like a chicken sandwich or like just there's this sauce that I made and it goes really good with it. It's like a curry sauce. This shit's fire.
Okay.
Just like you
Oh
have like
yeah.
chicken breast in like a plate or whatever, and you just pour the sauce over it. That by itself, that
Yeah,
shit's fire.
I love Middle Eastern seasonings
Yeah,
or also I mean Mediterranean. That's pretty similar.
yeah,
But I also love just like all the Asian seasonings are fire, like to prepare chicken. Yeah, those are my favorites probably. Like Middle Eastern seasonings and Asian seasonings are like golden when it comes to chicken.
Yeah, the curry that I'm using is actually Japanese. My dad makes like a broth with it sometimes for some rice. It's like curry broth, but I used it to make a sauce. That shit's really good with the chicken. If people are interested, maybe I'll post a recipe or some shit.
Yeah, that's the wave, honestly. Like me and Zena have been cooking more too, and it feels good. It always tastes the best because you prepare with love yourself because you know you're gonna be eating it.
Yeah,
So it's like you know exactly how you want it. You follow the recipe. You can't. Some people think they're just bad at cooking, but like it just takes practice. You know, you figure out what to do. You might mess up a few times, but you'll be glad you started cooking, honestly. Like you'll save money, you'll feel better, you're eating more whole foods. Like why not, you know what I mean?
I'm just trying to cut out carbs mainly, or like a lot less carbs, and just trying to eat more protein. So that's why I've just been cooking a lot of chicken. It's like easy and you know healthy and all that shit.
Speaking of that, I was talking to one of my people on my live the other day, and they were like, because we were talking about some cultures, like, and some foods. So, like, we were talking about how, at at least me, I realized people that live in America were kind of blind to the culture of America. You know what I mean? Like, people in America don't really see the culture a lot of times. Like, especially in different states where the culture might not be as like apparent like so easily. But people from other countries, they see a lot of culture in America, like as far as just like I don't know, it's our fashion, our music, our movies, our different abundances of food and of different cultures, and like shit's crazy. Like Americans just don't really think about it, you know what I mean? But that is something we can be proud of because I feel like a lot of people aren't proud to be from the USA, but like we still have some things we should be proud of, like being an American. You know what I mean? We're here. Like there's still some things left. You know what I mean?
Yeah, America is definitely a good place to be. You know, what kind of things? Like, what kind of things did you guys talk about in that live? What kind of American culture stuff? Because when I think of
Like,
American food, I just think of burgers. What do you think of?
well, no, not as far as like I would say food wise. We're just kind of a mix of all the cultures. I don't know, like American food is just kind of commercial food, which is just kind of like inherently bad for you. But as far as like the art and the creative culture is very prevalent. Like if you're from Russia and you look at the US, or if you're from Italy and you look at the US or wherever, like they see us as like the hub for culture, for like what's modern and what's like cool, you know what I mean?
Definitely like the trendsetters amongst like pop culture.
Pop culture, yeah, exactly.
I agree with that.
I'd forgotten that kind of, you know? This is being from here.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, like this world is not boring right now. Like there's a lot going on, especially just talking about the culture and like pop culture. I feel like we have to mention the whole thing that's going on with like Drake, Kendrick, and all this shit. Like this shit's shifting the whole culture, at
The
least for
modern
like
Tupac and Biggie beef.
yeah, the whole rap scene's watching. You know, it's like it's wild. It's really making a shift too, cause nobody has really tried Drake since X was around. Like besides Kanye, like Ye's been trying him. Ye's been trying him recently, but
Right.
before that, I feel like nobody really tried Drake since X, and before that, I feel like nobody had ever really tried him. So it's like it is crazy what's happening because it's like it's really gonna like loosen up a lot of spots, like on the billboards, on the charts, on the playlist. Like if everybody decides that we're done with Drake, you know, we're tired of Drake. Like, what do you think about that?
No, I think there's definitely gonna be some. There's always like fanboys or whatever, so he's gonna have his like uh, immediate fan base, but having no cosigns with like any of the major rappers definitely will, I'd imagine, like alter his numbers. And I saw a video recently. They were talking about like Kendrick's top like songs and albums versus like Drake's. If I'm not mistaken, the album Damn from Kendrick had like 7.9 or some shit like that billion plays, and I don't think anything Drake's ever dropped had nearly that many plays. Like as far as like a full album release. I
Yeah,
know
that's
he's
hard.
got like
That's hard.
popular music and shit, but I don't
I
know.
mean,
It's
I just saw Kendrick's Like That broke Drake's record for the most streamed Spotify song in a day. Like
is
of
that a new
Spotify.
track?
Yeah, that was the one that kind of like entertained it. It kind of let it all in. He dropped that Like That with Future and Metro Boomin. It was kind of like the start of the beef, of the real escalation of the beef.
Okay.
And then I don't know. As far as I know, that I saw a fact that Like That broke the record, which was Drake's record for the Spotify most streamed song in a day, or like most streams in a day. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's crazy, honestly. The fact he
Yeah.
did that. I
I
forgot how
did
many it
see
was.
I did also see the what was it? Good Kid, Mad City had, it's like I think Kendrick's number one song or something like that. I don't know. I'm referencing like a TikTok I saw, so I'm not sure about the facts or whatever. But from that TikTok, it looked like that song was Kendrick's number one song, and that had a lot more plays than Drake's number one song as well. Kendrick's been in the game for a minute, so has Drake, but everybody played that Good Kid, Mad City, that album.
For a minute, like long minute, everybody was playing that Mad City.
Random side note, I think an underrated Kendrick album is To Pimp a Butterfly. Have you ever heard that shit?
Hundred
It's a good album.
percent, 100%. That's a trippy album.
Yeah, it's funky.
She was my first girlfriend. That shit's psychedelic.
Yeah, it definitely got some psychedelic, funky influences and shit. It's time to get funky, funky. I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember
and to
that
be
track.
fair, I must say my favorite thing that Drake's ever hopped on was The Zone with The Weeknd. Back in like 2016, 17, or maybe it was before that even. But The Zone with The Weeknd, I feel like that's the hardest shit Drake dropped to me. That was like a long time ago.
For me, I think my favorite shit that I heard from Drake was probably the Take Care album. That's like that's his first album, right? I think
Take Care. I'm not too familiar with that one, but yeah,
it's like
it's one
his
of his
like
famous first ones.
it's like his singing, like soft singing albums or whatever. I feel like that was like,
Just hold on, we're going home.
yeah, that type of shit. I don't know.
Hey.
I did listen to that album like back in high school or whatever, so it feels a little bit nostalgic.
Yeah,
But
that shit did bop back in the day. You can't lie.
yeah, I think as far
Drake.
as like his
Yeah.
music, I stopped keeping up with it after that album. He started dropping albums like every few months. I was like, I can't keep up with all this shit. People were like, oh, have you heard this new one? I'm like, nah, dude. Like, I'm still bumping that old shit. And I don't really listen to Drake that much, but back in the day, you know, he was definitely pretty prevalent. I don't know. I stopped caring after a while, though.
Yeah,
That's just me though.
I feel like it's hard to respect Drake at this point. Like, I have respect for him as a human, and I hope he like finds his way and wish him, energy to his family and safety. But as far as his character, like, I just can't get behind it. It's just like what he's displayed to the world. Just even with that X shit, like even if he had nothing to do with that, like we've said this multiple times, like just because of the fact that he tried to stretch it on for clout and make people think that he could have had something to do with it, like
Yeah,
that's just lame. That's enough for me to look at you and be like, all right, what else would you do to get clout that's like crossing moral boundaries?
yeah,
And
I
it's
agree
just
with
like,
that.
yeah, you can. It's just the tip of the iceberg to know like probably shit Drake's done like that.
Same shit with the Kiki, do you love me? That song.
What was that all about?
Apparently, that's like one of the. You heard that like what's it called? Kanye got pissed off at him because he's like kind of insinuating that he fucked his wife, you know, Kim Kardashian or his ex-wife or whatever.
He's
Back
saying
with
Kiki is Kim.
yeah, that's what like a lot of people kind of referencing. And then there's like another song, or that's what a lot of people were like coming to the conclusion of. And there's another song where he was talking about take a left and another left or some shit. He's like describing these directions and they lead from his house to Kim Kardashian or Kanye's house or some shit. And even Kanye called him out.
Damn, this man really tried Ye like that. I didn't even
He
know
did.
about that.
He said
That's crazy.
Kanye even mentioned it. He was like, um, "You're making it seem like you fucked my wife," you know, shit like that. And he was like calling him out for it. And I heard that, like, this is what my friend told me. I never really heard this like in the news or whatever, or like on these like platforms, but apparently there was like a shot that like a bullet went through Kanye's home after he like called him out or some shit. And he's got kids, so like he apparently apologized after that, try to like settle the beef, but I'm not too sure about all that.
Bro, there's so much crazy shit that's been going down with
This is some older
Kanye.
stuff.
Kanye's always has some crazy shit going down, but recently, that last interview he did, like, he seemed more like at ease though, just like playful in a way. Less like when he was running for president and he was like, he seemed more manic and like sporadic, but more like political in a way. I don't know, just like about what he would talk about. Well, also because people were asking him like, what would you do if you were president in this area? And then he would have to like go on some tangent about like what he would do.
Yeah.
But yeah,
They
I feel
tried to
like
kill my daughter, or I almost killed my daughter. You remember that shit?
there's so many wild Kanye videos when you think about it.
No, I love Kanye, but yeah, he's fucking he's funny as fuck. Sometimes they clip him like out of context and it just sounds funny as fuck.
I like how recently he just will, instead of getting pissed at the paparazzi now, he'll just stop and have like a heart-to-heart conversation with them. He's like, he just talked to them as like a human being. He's like, listen, you need to grab a few pictures, okay, but like, can you like step back? Like, what are we doing here? Like, he's like, why you like? He just treats them like a human, and I feel like that's good. Instead of just getting pissed at them for doing their job or whatever most pop stars do. Like, I like that he just confronts them normally.
Yeah. You seen that video where he grabbed that girl's phone?
He hasn't always reacted normally.
There was a clip where I don't know. She said something like, "Oh, your wife is a puppet." He's talking about his new wife. Like I forget her name.
The disrespect
Yeah, she was like,
of
"Do you
these
let your
people.
wife actually speak her mind or something, and he just snatched her phone from her. And then he's like, "Yeah, I'm not giving you your phone back." And then she was like, "Please, just give me my phone." And then he was like, "All right, you know what? Uh, we'll sign you to my label, and we'll pay you double what these guys are paying you, or some shit." So like, apparently he got her a job or some shit. I don't know. I don't know if he went through with it, but that's what he was saying, which is kind of funny.
Damn, hopefully she got that job.
I don't know, dude. If it was me, I wouldn't have hired her. She's kind of saying some fuck shit, you know.
Yeah,
But
he probably just said that to just get away with her phone.
yeah, or said that so he didn't get arrested, probably. But it's definitely a power move, you know.
Snatches her phone right out of her hand.
Yeah, and he's like, "I'll pay you double whatever they're paying you." It's like big flex type of thing, you know.
Yeah, Kanye, he's been going crazy though. I like the energy he's been putting out. Like, we need more people like that just aren't afraid to. We need more people that just aren't afraid to speak the truth. Really, like, just say what's on their mind, and that's what it is, and just like say it how it is. Say it for what you've experienced, instead of trying to beat around the bush. And like, he spares no one though. He's coming for everybody who he feels like is fake, and he's like, I'm putting this shit all out there. Like, he's like the karmic deliverer right now in the fucking industry. He's like, you're gonna get what's coming to you.
It's definitely a wild card. Like no one really knows what he's up to. But that's why we love him, cuz he's hard to predict. But he always drops some dope shit.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out all them for what they're doing in the culture. Kanye, Ye. I know he likes to be referred to as Ye. We'll give it Ye, Kendrick, Future, The Weeknd. Shout out to all of them, and best of luck to Drake. Like, he's getting cooked out there.
The memes have been pretty good. You seen those clips I sent you? They're so stupid, but they're funny as fuck. 'Cause people are just clowning him.
I know, there's so many fucking memes. The one that was like, oh, the way they're formatting the Drake and Kendrick beef on Wikipedia, it looks like a war. It just has Drake and J. Cole, and then like Kendrick, and lists a bunch of people that are like on his side.
It's like a World War II map or some shit.
Yeah, it's like these are the countries that are battling.
This shit is funny. But yeah, as far as like, you know, maybe do you have any other topics you want to touch on? And put the Drake and Kendrick beef to rest. Everybody's been talking about that.
Yeah, we had to touch on that. I've been trying to think of, in general, I wanted to bring this up. Just like the blue and the red paradox in like
Like,
politics. Because we need to keep talking about that, because I don't know, there's so many stereotypes about like the Democrats and the Republicans, you know, like liberal, conservative. There's so many stereotypes that it's like, it's almost impossible to talk about anymore without someone already having a bunch of preconceived stereotypes about your views. And there's Republicans with Democratic views. You know, there's Republicans that are like diehard Republican, but some of their views fall under Democratic views, and they're still a Republican, and vice versa. And like, I was talking to my family one night on vacation, and I was just bringing it up. Like, we were all talking about it. Like, it seems like it's stunting our growth, really, more than it's helping us. Because it's making us feel like we have to fit into one box or the other, instead of just, why can't we just believe in all the policies that we feel are best? You know what I mean? Without, it just doesn't, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense to me anymore, the whole Republican Democrat thing, because they're so like washed into each other.
It's like the whole two-party system. Like if you vote for, they say like a vote for a moderate or vote for whatever they call um the third party. They're like, oh, whatever's a vote. It's like a vote for the other
Yeah,
side, pretty much. Because in America, the state that it's in right now, like you either vote Republican or Democrat, and if you don't do that, then whoever else isn't going to win. You're not really benefiting the other. You're more so benefiting the other side if you don't vote for like the party that you want to win, type of thing. But most people,
yeah,
I feel like, are moderate, or if you're really like hardcore like liberal or hardcore conservative, I feel I don't know, it's probably like more so that you were like taught to be that way. No one's really like 100% like on one side, there's a lot of shit that's like gray area that there's obviously some things that meet in the middle somewhere.
yeah. That's good to be said, because there's a lot of issues that, like we're saying, that overlap, and there's a lot of issues that are such a gray area that there will never be one specific solution. Like it's more of like a case by case thing. Like you just have to like analyze, and neither party is right and will ever be right, because it's just like a moral dilemma. And it's like it'll just, you have to assess it case by case on some things and not waste the time about who's right about their moral beliefs. It's like that's where it goes on forever a lot of the times, like, when it gets into that type of shit.
Yeah, and what's it called? Shit, I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was gonna say.
But no, basically what we're saying and what you were getting into before was that if you vote for anything but the Democrat or the Republican, your vote is kind of wasted. And that makes people not want to vote for what they actually believe in, which would be in maybe an independent party, whatever they call it.
Yeah,
One that's a new party where it's like we don't do the red and blue. It's just what what actually benefits humanity and our country, and like what will improve the quality of people's lives and like help the most people, and how can we set up the system so that most people are happy, like, and so it's
100%.
sustainable, not just so they're happy but also in a smart way.
Right. And like the thing that is really like not beneficial is that people, they'll see somebody vote like a different party than what you voted, and they'll instantly hate them and like claim that they're the devil, or like like whatever word they want to use. I was gonna say fascist, but like it could go either way. They call them like all types of different names, and it just comes from a hateful place. Like,
And that's
yeah,
just one tool used to divide us.
exactly.
That's one of them.
And at the end of the day, like, it's easier to control people that are separated than like a unit. This is the United States, but we're not really united. We're very like separate, and people look at each other.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it shouldn't
No,
be
that's
like that.
honestly,
Shouldn't be
that's
like that.
wrong, man. That's so wrong.
Right. We need unity if we want like change, but everybody's holds their values like so close to their heart. And yeah, like I
Bro,
don't know, I think we just need like true leadership, which is something
yeah.
we've been lacking for a long time, because everybody
And
just goes with the flow of what's in
yeah,
pop culture
and,
or
and, and
whatever.
we have to stop waiting for the leaders to be politicians. Fuck that shit. Excuse my language, but like, we're done waiting for the politicians to be our leader and like hero. You know what I mean? It's not gonna happen that way. The leaders, that's where it's all wrong. The leaders have to be in the community. The leaders have to be creatives. The leaders have to be, doctors, science, people that are respected in the community, that are willing to like form their own community and build it with people that are genuine and just like, I feel like that's what it's going to take. It's going to take leaders in the community that want to develop their own communities that are sustainable and like creative communities, very like forward thinking, very like innovative, and we would all have these large communities all over the US, like in different areas, and they would be, you know what I mean? Like it would be a layout of a new way of living. Like to just rethink the way we even build communities and like rethink the way we form a town. Try forming a town in a different way with like a different approach that doesn't isn't so like money involved, but more so like time and energy. Like everybody does their part to help the community and like provide services and whatever they do, and we all help with the gardens, community gardens, and like, it's just like that's a different way of living that people are so afraid of because we're so used to like having this. But this shit, we've already kind of proved to ourselves that like the money situation, I mean, maybe we could get a hold on it, but the greed causes a lot of lack of care for the planet, and it's created a lot of cool shit. It's helped us build a lot of cool shit. But why couldn't we have built that same shit with just the motivation of being proud of our community? Like they're like, yeah, I want to build this, hospital, and because I'm eating free vegetables from the garden, and I have a free place to stay, and I want to see this hospital get built, so everybody helps a hand and like builds a hospital or some shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's
It
just
is
something
like
I've thought about.
definitely a uh, loaded situation. Like it's hard to say like why we can't do something like that. You know what I mean? Because yeah, we live in America, which is like a capitalist nation. So if you want something to happen, uh, like you have to pay for it with money. You got to generate money to get something done. But yeah, sometimes like you said, money doesn't really do much but lead us to greed. But it is a good track record. Like if we don't have like actual currency, like it's hard to say like otherwise we're going back to just like bartering, like if you
You're right.
want if you want something, like I'll trade you something that you want for it, like
Right.
which doesn't really help in all aspects because you have to just trade like a bunch of shit if you need to get something rather than having like currency. But I think the real problem is like the corporatization of America, and like how everything that like all the biggest companies, they become corporations, and it's hard to keep up with the corporations. Like if you want to start a business, you have to pay all this shit. Like there's a bunch of taxes for it. Obviously there's tax breaks for some things, but if you need to get like certificates and licenses and all this shit if you want to start a business. Back in the day it was a lot easier to do that, and now they're
Yeah.
raising like the dollar value is becoming less and less over time because inflation, and it's hard for us to
Inflation
keep it's hard
is
to keep
crazy
up
right now.
100%, but it's hard to keep up with the corporations because they can afford to pay the minimum wage, which keeps getting raised. And since like they keep raising the minimum wage, small businesses, they might not have that kind of money to like keep giving their employees. But the dollar is becoming less valuable, but it's becoming more expensive to uh, get employees. So that's definitely the downfall of America. I feel like is the corporatization of everything. We need more like small businesses to, you know, support each other, like people to support small businesses. And a lot of people have already come to that conclusion. A lot of people are like support local businesses, this and that. But, you know, it is a problem where like it's like a fundamental problem within like the government and like the some of
Now
the
here's a point touching on what you're talking about. So we decide, okay, there needs to be some form of currency that's like exact. So in saying that, why can't there be a type of currency that is similar to like more of a what would you call it? The type of crypto that is stable, like a stable crypto? Why couldn't our currency be more on the format of being like a stable crypto where it can fluctuate a little, but it has a range it can fluctuate in, and it's like it can't it pretty much stays this. Why do you think we can't have it just stay the same value and never change and be like, this is what it is, and no matter if the world goes up or down, this is what the value is because it's reasonable for what the resources that you're actually buying and how hard it was to actually make that resource that you're buying.
I think
But like,
stable coins that like you're talking about, like the US, they have like a US coin. I forget what it's called. It might be US coin, might be something else. But the stable coins, like they their value, I'm pretty sure is like relating to the dollar value of where they're from. So the dollar value is always changing because of inflation and debt and all that shit. Um, but what was I gonna say? There definitely is like
let's think about that though. The dollar value is changing because of inflation and debt. Who's causing inflation and debt?
it's I think something to do with obviously the government and the federal, what does it call it?
Federal Reserve?
Federal Reserve. Yeah, that's
So if the government and the Federal Reserve are doing things that are causing us inflation and debt, then tell me why it makes sense that the dollar would go up or the dollar would become less valuable. That's just crazy to me. Like the dollar's becoming less valuable to the people, making their lives harder who have nothing to do with it. When the government and the Federal Reserve are the ones actually making the debt and the inflation happen, and they're not even spending the budget on the most efficient places like for the people who are actually paying the taxes like to do all that shit. This shit is just nuts. Like that, how does that shit even logical to us? Like what are we thinking about that?
it's just like in my opinion it's like something about power, you know, like they want to keep people in power. There's like there's multiple classes of like American citizens. You know, there's like low income, middle, what is it? Middle, what do they call them?
You call it little class now.
Yeah, little class and the middle class. Oh yeah, that's what it is, middle class.
Right.
Um, but yeah, there's like a majority of the people in the middle class and lower income households, and there's like a smaller percentage of people that are like wealthy, obviously, and there's like a, it's like a, I forget how, like I don't know the right way to say it, but like it's the way that wealth is distributed, you
And you
know?
know what I seen the other day? I saw a guy who seemed to be like a economics professor of some kind, like giving a lecture. He's like, what we don't understand is that the middle class isn't disappearing. It's already gone. He's like, we think it's gradual, but like if we look at how much money's actually worth and how much the average person actually makes in America right now, like the percentage actually has gone way up of like lower class is now a way higher percentage than middle class, and then the obviously the very high like wealthy class is always pretty small number, but the middle class, he's like has already shrunk a ton. Like we think it's shrinking, but he's like think about it. Like the average house here in LA or Florida is like 450,000, and then the average person, how many people do you meet on the street that actually make more than like 200,000 a year, or even like 150,000 a year?
A lot of
Very
people make like 30,000 a year, between 30 and 50,000. Like
Yeah, like
that's like the thing, the
very few
average.
people actually make $200,000 a year unless you're out in an area where there's a lot of rich people. But to the general person in any given state or town, you will find probably like, I don't know, I'm just guessing, but you'll probably find like 40 people in the average town or less that make that amount of money.
Yeah, I think that's part of the thing. You know, they want to split the middle class up and divide it even more, so it's basically like the ruling class, and then like I don't know, the slaves of the U.S. pretty much that just do like basic jobs where people get paid hardly anything. Their life, what's the how do I describe it? But like they make like daily life a lot harder. You can hardly afford even like I don't know, can't really afford a whole lot. You can just basically afford rent and food. Other than that, you can't really
Yeah.
do a whole lot with like the lower income, you know?
And that's hard sometimes. For a lot of people, that's hard to even get rent money and food money to
Exactly.
even like get by.
Because minimum wage, you can't really do that. You need at least two incomes or some shit to do that.
Bro, and what a scary thought that this is the case, like what we're talking about, that the lower the lower class is rising and the middle class is shrinking pretty rapidly right now, like by standards of the last history of the last like 20 years. It's happening pretty rapidly right as we're going into this new in possibly a new industrial revolution, like with the whole robotics and the new AI and the new sciences that we're like pushing out, and that combined with the middle class dissipating is a bad recipe. I'll tell you that. Like, because then what happens when the robots can do 50% of our jobs pretty quickly now? Like, and the middle class is already depleted before that even happens. And that
Right.
will take up even more. Another 50% of the jobs will be replaced. Then the middle class just gets cut in half again. Like that's not the path we need to be going down here.
Yeah, I think what was nice about America and why everybody wanted to like travel from their third world country to America is that being here you can make your way up like the social ladder. You know what I mean? It's not like ancient India where they had like the untouchables or whatever, and then like the rulers and like all these different classes. They had like a class system. Nobody could like go outside of their class. But in America, there is a way. You know, you can start your own business. You can, generate multiple like income streams, things like that. But like I said earlier, with the whole corporatization of everything, like it makes it a lot harder for small businesses to compete with larger businesses. Like for example, if I wanted to start a business where I'm selling, I don't know, let's just say something really basic like selling soaps or something, right? Want to sell soap. There's businesses that already have all the molds for the soap. They can buy the molds for like really cheap. Because if you buy in bulk, you obviously get better deals with that shit. So if you want to do a small business, most likely you'll have to charge a little bit extra because you can't really compete with like the low prices that these big corporate wait, whatever the fucking word is, corporate,
Yeah.
I don't even know, these companies,
Corporations.
corporations, yeah, you can't compete with the corporations because they already have like all their they have like a factory, they have workers that they're paying a minimum wage, they have all this shit, you know, it's hard to compete with that.
And then they
So
make it even harder to save up to even get the physical business to have of your own, because that could, like, not even fucking around, that shit could run you like $750,000 for like a little smoothie shop. Like this one on the corner here is a smoothie shop I go to. It's a locally owned business, like a family owned business. I would not be surprised if they paid like 750,000 or more for that. And it's just a little shop on the corner, like, but it has a good location because it's right on the main road, you know.
yeah,
But that's a good example because it's like they're selling smoothies and toast with avocado and acai bowls, but they had to pay like damn near close to $1 million to even get the fucking location, and
it's
then they
probably
have to
like
try to.
rental, I imagine, right? With that type of shit.
Right, it could be, but like, you know what I mean? Like that's what we're talking about though. If they wanted to own the business themselves, it's damn near impossible. They can't afford to buy that shop on that good location, and like, so like you're saying, they'd have to rent, and then it's like they don't even own their own business. They're just like borrowing the space to sell their product and like
Right.
get by each time, but they're not actually gaining anything.
And how
Could
much
be
does an acai bowl usually go for? Like $8,
at
maybe
that
more or
shop,
less.
it's like 14 out here in
For
LA.
$14, you know, you have to sell a lot of those to get close to your rent, which would probably what, like 2 3 grand, maybe more, maybe less.
More for a shop like that, too, on the corner. Like, if they're paying rent, it has to be like 3,000, 4,000 maybe.
Yeah, it's probably a good range, 3 to 4 thousand. So that's a lot of acai bowls, you know. That's a lot of customers you need every single day, and you know they're probably. I'm not sure how the business is doing, you know, as far as like they might be good with the marketing and shit. Who knows? But
They
you
have
know,
great stuff. I feel like that's what keeps them going. Like, they have quality. Like, I go there, I'm happy I went there because I'm like, this is just tastes fresh, and like they care about it because they're not serving too many people. But I'm guessing they make some profit, but I'm guessing like over 80% of their earnings probably goes to rent, and they probably keep like 20% on the top or something.
right?
But
It's
I don't
probably
know.
they probably hardly make more than minimum wage with the profit, right? Or like more, a little bit more or less. You know, it depends on how good business is rolling, but
Right.
that's probably how it's gonna go, I imagine.
Like, damn, like you gotta think we can't be making it too hard in the US for the youth to start their own businesses, because that's gonna really take a toll on our economy even more than it is. Like, we gotta make some sort of like leeway cushion to like dampen this inflation so the youth feel like they are actually capable of opening their own business and owning their own business of some kind. And like, because so many kids now are like discouraged, like rightfully they're rightfully discouraged, but we gotta keep trying, because if everybody gives up and feels like they can't start a business, or they can't start their own farm, or they can't, I like, what if we all turned into just TikTok influencers? Like, nobody wanted to farm, nobody wanted to like open a smoothie shop, or like majority of people, like, because even when I went to high school, they would teach me in career class that it wasn't cool to be a farmer, and it wasn't uh, realistic to be a farmer anymore. Like, I specifically remember them being like, "Oh, it's not the best job. Like, there's a lot of variables. They don't normally make the most. It's uncertain, which is true, but like, plants grow. You water them. What's so uncertain? I mean, some years you might lose some, but they make it seem like you can't farm anymore, or you can't do that shit. I want people to feel like it's obtainable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw a video actually. This guy, he would sell what's it called? Like bean sprouts, like shit like that, like things that grow really fast. And he doesn't even have a farm. He has like a shed or I think it's like what's it called? You know, like those metal cases, like the things that they deliver on ships. I forget what they call them. You know what I'm talking
Metal.
about?
Oh, I just saw a video on that too. The fucking shipping containers.
Yeah. So like
That's tight.
some guy would grow like things that don't take long to grow, like something that take maybe 4 weeks to grow, like them bean sprouts, for example. And I think he would sell like his like lot, which is like just a few shelves, you know, from top to bottom, and like a few rows. You'd make like 3 to 5 grand from that, just selling the shit to like
Per what? Per
groceries.
month?
Probably like per month, yeah,
Three to
or
five
like
grand a month?
per yield, like every time that he sells it. I'm not sure, because he keeps growing
Right.
it over and over. You know, he's got growing lights set up and all that shit.
Right.
And
I'm
it's
sure
not.
as he's got like different rounds of them. Like as he's harvesting, there's already some growing more, and then he's got like 3 rounds. He's like switching out. You know.
Yeah, I imagine he's probably got some sort of setup with that, but I know they make good money, and it might just be like his side gig, you know, because he doesn't spend all day just like watching it grow. He goes and works as well and keeps his eye on that shit when he can, like waters it a few times a day or whatever. And if you look it up,
Oh
like
yeah.
bean sprouts don't take that long to grow, and they're pretty simple. I think you just, you know, just a little bit of water.
Bro, speaking on that, I think it'd be so cool if in the culture of the US we made it way more like we cranked up the notch on planting more trees and really like incorporating our architecture with trees and around trees more, like instead of feeling like if we have a city there can be no trees in it. You know what I mean? Like I really want the US to hop on that wave like some of these other countries where they're planting trees on the roofs, they're planting grass on the roofs, they're planting trees growing even through the buildings. Shit, like it's like that shit's cool to me. Like why don't we do that? Like why can't we can easily do it. We don't need to cut down the tree. We choose to. But like you really don't have to.
I think
I
like
mean,
the main thing with that is root systems. Cause like the roots can grow and like fuck up the ground and shit. I was in Florida recently on vacation with my family. And this guy had a tree in the backyard, and you could tell there was like a couple bricks in like the back. What do you call it? The patio or some shit. Where like around the pool he has, there's like a bunch of bricks on the ground, but like some of them were raised up. I think it's because
oh
there's
yeah.
a tree there. But yeah,
Yeah,
obviously
that is true.
it's not like the worst thing having like a couple bricks being lifted up or whatever, but it does alter house value and stuff like that. But I agree with you, like I think that's why so many people have like house plants and shit like that, is like bring more oxygen and like, you know, like a real
100%.
vibe inside the home.
I think you gotta have house plants to add oxygen to the air. I don't even have enough in my home right now. Like I need to get more,
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel like that needs to be talked about because like it should be more of a thing in the U.S. Like there is trees like, but I just feel like there needs to be more, especially in the states where it's like a naturally fruit yielding state of a certain, like whatever fruit your state naturally yields, it should be more of a culture for the people to go and want to plant more bushes and more trees of that fruit like all around, like you know, wherever. So it's more like we have these trees, they don't cost us anything to grow if we have the seed, you know, we water it, sunlight, it'll grow the tree. Sometimes you don't even need to water it once it's grown in some states because the rain will just water it. But imagine just it's so backwards. Like take a look at like trees grow for free and we can grow them, but for some reason it's our culture. I don't even know if it's like an agenda of the government. I don't know why we do this, but why are all the trees behind a fence in some corporate fucking, you know what I mean? Like warehouse or farm, some corporate farm, and all of our fruit trees are behind the fences where we can't harvest them, and we have to then pay to buy these fruits at the grocery store when like we could just be growing these trees all around and just picking, like you could just walk outside and pick some raspberries from, you know, why is there not raspberries growing all over Minnesota, or strawberries or watermelon, whatever grows there? And then like over here, why is there not oranges growing? Why is there not, you know, trees all over where people can just pick fruit? I don't get it.
No, I agree with that. I think in all my life out here in Minnesota, I've spent like 90% of it out here. I've seen one like wild apple tree, and I would go there because I used to work.
So
Yeah,
sad.
I used to work in White Bear, and I would go on like this nature trail, like in the mornings, and I would just go there and grab some like fruit, some apples, like before my shift, because I was broke as fuck, and I didn't want to, you know, go out and buy some food, so I would just like eat a couple apples or whatever, and then just go to work.
And how did
But
those
yeah,
apples taste?
you know, they weren't like the best apples because they were, no one
They
was really
weren't
taking
quite
care.
ready.
I don't know. They were softer. I don't really like soft apples. I prefer them to
Oh,
be
they were them
crispy.
yellow. They were them yellow ones.
No, they were red, but they just there's something about them. I don't
Oh,
know. It's probably just because no one was actually taking care of them. They were wild, you know. But hey, it's free fruit, and I think that's the reason why they don't plant a whole lot of those trees around, is because if we have like free fruit growing out here, why would anyone go to the grocery stores and buy like this fruit that they get shipped from fucking the middle of nowhere? Who knows? You know, Guatemala or some shit.
that's what I'm saying. That's so fucked up. Like we can't live like that. Like I don't give a fuck what's normal or what's like we feel like it has to be. Like no, I want to inspire everyone to just feel like they can plant trees. Like, and what's crazy is I'm pretty sure it's illegal to plant a tree anywhere. Like if you were to just go and plant a tree, like me, I live in an apartment. If I was just walk outside and plant a fucking tree, first of all, the grass is artificial next to the fucking sidewalk. And then second of all, if I walked somewhere where there was grass and planted it, like I wonder if I would get in trouble. Like they might be like, "Oh, you can't plant this tree here."
I'm pretty sure you have to have like some ground that you own or something, or like it has to be like a type of ground that they allow people to do shit like that. I don't know, but you're probably
That
right.
shit is nuts. Like, why can I not go outside and plant a fucking tree that we can all eat fruit from? That is wild. We need to be careful. We're already like going down the rabbit hole of like this dystopian shit and this fucking seeing where it could lead, like in the worst ways, I guess. Like trying to, I want to steer us onto a better course because I know we have the potential to do that, but like so many areas are going down the wrong vibes right now. We're putting these rules on ourselves. Not even on ourselves. We're letting somebody from the last generation put these rules on all of us, which is
Yeah,
crazy too.
and the people making the rules, they won't be alive long enough to see how like they actually impact America, you know, because they're
And
probably
that's
on their way out.
because we can't keep doing that. Every generation can't say, "Oh, you know, we'll keep doing it this way, but we'll let the next one deal with it." and then we get it, we're like, oh, we'll keep doing it this way, we'll let the next one deal with it. It's like, no, somebody needs to like reassess what we're doing here and like improve certain laws to like benefit people's well-being, like, because that's just stupid. The fact that trees can grow here, banana trees, all that, and especially in Florida, you could grow like banana trees or, but
Mangoes,
there's,
coconuts.
yeah, like, what is it? A seed doesn't really cost anything. You can get a lot of seeds for pretty cheap. And then, but there's people starving, and there's a lot of bare grass all over with no trees that bear fruit. And there could be orange trees and banana trees that anybody could eat. And no, it would like feed people that like actually don't have food. It's crazy.
Saw this video on TikTok. This guy, he ate watermelon, and he would just like walk around and eat some watermelon and spit the seeds out like wherever he was walking. And then like a year later, he came back and there was like watermelon plants, or maybe it wasn't a year, but there was
That's
watermelon plants,
crazy.
and he would just do the same shit. He'd eat the watermelon and just spit out the seeds. So like they couldn't really trace who was planting it because he was just spitting the seeds out, you know.
That's
But
fire.
I
Maybe
thought that was pretty
that's
cool.
the wave, huh? We just need to walk around eating fruit with seeds in it and then just spit it everywhere.
It might be a start at least.
But yeah, it's tough. There's a lot of areas with humanity that like you want to improve, but you don't know where to start. But we have to start somewhere because you can't just be afraid and like keep brushing off the issues. Like even I think humans need to reassess the land that's owned by the government, what can be done with it. Because there's so much land that's owned by the government and a very small fraction of land that's actually owned by people. And even when those people do finally own their own house and yard, they still have to pay, you know, taxes on the house forever. So it's like, that shit just isn't right. We can't, it can't always be that way, you know, like, the people should own, honestly, more land than the government does. Because, like, the government should only need land for certain purposes, like to preserve wild parks, I get it. To build government buildings, we need, I get it. But what about all the land that's just not used, that some government just sold to some person and they're just auctioning it off, you know, like for a very high price?
Yeah.
And it's just land that was there. Like, these people that are selling it, they didn't do anything to create that land. That land was just there when they were born, and it's been there before they were born. And, like, nothing's being done with it. It's not, like, improving. Just nobody can afford it. So, like, I think we need to reassess, like, the policies of who we allow to be on, like, federally owned land in certain areas. And we should try experiments where we just let, like, more than the Homestead Act, where like people can literally have an experiment where just a plot of federal land that anybody can do what they want with, and just kind of first come first serve, like build it together and just see what happens. Like, why don't we try an experiment like that?
Is that what the Homestead Act is? They allow like federal land to be occupied by like citizens, civilians.
The Homestead Act these days is like, seems like it's only really applied to very new towns that are just so premature that they want to inspire people to go to those towns and like build a house and a farm and a business. So they tell them they can have the land for free as long as they build a house on the land and stay in the house for 5 years. They can have that plot of land for free. But it's cool, like, hell yeah, respect, like, that's cool, a cool way of developing towns. But why can't we open that policy up even more for like certain plots of lands where there is no stipulations really. Like you can just build what you want on the land, and like it's yours as long as you do something with it. That's sustainable too.
Sounds like some Animal Crossing 2.0 shit.
For real, that'd be lit. You just start building a house with your homies, like harvesting cement and shit. You get the cement, you build like a dome or a fucking. You want to build it out of bricks. You just like make some bricks, just start building it. Shit.
Right. But you still gotta pay Tom Nook, which is, kind of sucks.
Yeah,
He be
that's
ripping
like,
us off.
I think it's cool, but it has to be reasonable. Like obviously it's logical that we all have to pay a tax in order to fix roads and build hospitals and shit that we all need that are like government buildings and nobody really wants to like be responsible for. So we all chip in. That makes sense, but it doesn't make sense to keep charging somebody that worked their whole life to own a property and to finally have something they can call their own and a yard they can call their own to step in, and you're gonna charge that person a tax on something they rightfully earned themselves within the game that you created of the house that you already owned before, that you still owned even after they thought they owned it, because they still have to pay you a tax. And if they ever don't pay that tax, you can take the house from them. Like, that doesn't feel like the proper way to own something.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely some things that just aren't really very fair, you know? Like, they be charging too much for taxes and shit, too. And that's, like, another reason why the middle class keeps shrinking. Is because, since, like, the lower class or lower income households, they get, like, a tax break, but they like, tax the middle class even more. So they're pretty much, like, low income. Because, like, they're taking all that money from tax, you know?
Yeah, because I get it. Like, why we're paying federal tax, that makes sense, you know? We're paying state tax. But what is property tax actually for? Like, why? The other two make sense because they take care of, like, services and things that the government actually has to provide for all the people. But the property tax, like, needs to be reevaluated because it just doesn't make sense. It's like, why am I actually paying you? Like, what did you do here that I'm actually paying for? Like, I earned this house, I bought this house, or maybe I even built the house myself on like a plot of land, and you're gonna tell me I still have to pay you, but you can't explain to me the reason why I have to pay you for owning this house. I bought the land, I built the house, I spent my time, and I paid income tax on every dollar I earned to get that house. And now you're telling me I have to pay for nothing just for owning the house. What the fuck kind of shit is that? Shit's insane.
Yeah, I agree.
That needs to be talked about, you know, it just needs to be brought up.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I don't know, America is not perfect by any means. It's probably better than some areas to live in, but there's a lot of fuck shit going on. Definitely a lot of fuck shit.
Yeah, we need to not be afraid to talk about societal issues, and we need to face it like we're one big business, and this business is being a healthy country. And if we want that business to run smoothly, to be like a healthy, happy country, then we just need to like face all these societal issues as like together and really plot on them and just try things. Because I know, like, together as a people, we could think of 6 solutions for each of these 20 societal problems that I wrote down. We have a list right here. But like, you have to identify what the issues are before we can start talking about them. And then once we talk about them, everyone can start presenting solutions. And one of those solutions should work, or at least improve the system. Like, I feel like we just think of it like it's some impossible task to like actually have a country that's in harmony and it's like working properly and like things make sense. We think it's so far-fetched, but like we hold the power to change the system that we live within.
Goes back to the whole like two-party thing, you know, like instead of like having these two parties separate us and make us think we're so different from each other, if people actually like unified as like a country. Yeah, it's like, you know, in a family, you might disagree with some of your family members' views, but you still love your family and you still want the best for your family, you know what I mean? It's like people
Exactly.
be like isolating each other because they're different, but that's not the move, you know, like isolation, separatism doesn't really add any benefit to this whole country. It just makes
And
it
there's
easier
so
for the people in
much.
power to just, you know, control the people
There's
at the
yeah.
bottom.
And there's so much separation that it's just garbage. Like we can think of so many ways we're separated. Sexual orientation we're separated by. Race we're separated by. Gangs we're separated by.
Skin
You know,
color.
skin color we're separated by. Political parties we're separated by. Even
Income.
income levels we're separated by. Government and people are even separated. Because we don't even think of the government as people, and that says something. That says something about the way we view our country and our like system. When we talk about the government, you don't even really think of people. You know what I mean? You're thinking of like an entity that's like most people. Some people are helped by the government, and some people aren't. But for the most part, we think of the government as like an entity that's like against us, or at least like kind of bullying us, like in a way, like making it hard for us. You know what I mean? Like making most people, I would say, I feel like I'm not too far off. Most people think of the government as not even people, but just an entity that bullies them and that does a lot of things that don't make sense. And that is this like system that they have to like stay within the confines of.
You're not wrong. Like the government definitely is its own entity, and that's why like the whole tax conversation earlier. Yeah, like some things I understand why we get taxed on it, but it's like back, you know, during the Boston Tea Party or whatever, like they were getting taxed up the ass so much to where they fucking they just like they're fed up with it, you know, and they just dump the tea in the ocean. They're like, "Fuck your tea. We're going to start drinking coffee now." You know what I mean?
They're like,
And
yo,
now
the tax is worth more than the tea itself.
yeah. And you know, in America now doesn't really drink a whole lot of tea. They drink a lot of coffee. Like there's coffee shops everywhere. Got fucking Starbucks is like a really big brand or whatever. I don't know any tea brands that are that huge. Maybe Lipton, but who
That
who
is
be
crazy.
drinking
Like, we
who be
didn't forget
drinking
that
Lipton?
shit.
Nah, it's stuck with us. But that's more cultural shit, but still like my point is, you know, even back then we were not okay with being taxed like the way that we were. Like the British were just fucking us over and people were not okay with that. We need to still keep that same mentality. Like, yeah, there's some
Yeah.
things that are not okay. We're paying too much money to keep this entity running that doesn't really do anything for us. They give us a fake person to believe in, which isn't even like a real leader. You know, like all the presidents ever do is just follow this agenda, and they don't really do anything for the people. They claim, "Oh, we'll help with whatever," but they never really keep their promises. And politics is kind of a joke in most people's eyes because we're just tired of the same bullshit over and over again. Like, we need somebody to actually like
Right.
make a difference rather than just keep the same bullshit going.
Yeah, it's like, and I have hope, like usual, in like the next generation that's gonna enter into politics, but it's just the fact that we need to like reconsider our political system, like not in theory. I think in theory our political system makes sense, but like we need to assess the influence that people have over our political system and the agendas that they want to push and how that's influencing the people that are making the actual decisions or lack of making those decisions and why, like, and then we need to, assess that, because that's really why it's not just that the politicians never do anything, because obviously that's for some reason. Like, I don't know, who knows if they're getting, paid, bribes, or if it's just
They
they
don't really
see,
have that control that we
yeah,
think they do.
yeah, or they really don't have the control. Yeah, like they have a boss that we don't know about. There's somebody that, maybe not a boss, but somebody that manipulates them or at least has a lot of influence over the decisions that they make.
Which is probably the corporations of America.
And probably those elite, very rich elite people that even own all those corporations.
Exactly.
And obviously, most people are aware of this. Like, this isn't like secret information, you know? Everyone knows that, even that America was funded by very rich people in the oil industry, people in the electric industry, like the people that were in mining and shit like that are the people that founded America. So it's not far-fetched to think that those same people and families that founded the country still have a lot of pull in like our political parties and what they want to like push that benefits the companies that they've owned since the beginning.
Yeah, I think like the only thing that can really change like how things happen is if there is like a massive distribution of wealth change, like we need to support different businesses, like, and we need to like unite as people to like go against certain brands or certain things that I understand like Amazon. Yeah, maybe he's not the Jeff Bezos isn't like the greatest person, but it's like really anybody can buy something and the shipping is fast. It usually has the cheapest shit on there, but maybe we need to like think about the businesses that are on Amazon, for example, like support them outright, or like certain, like I said earlier, local businesses. I don't know. I feel like if we want something to actually change, we need to change who's getting paid, because the people that are getting paid are just keeping things the same way that it has been for so long.
And to do that, we need to understand like where our money's going, and we need to care about where our money is going. Like, when you make $1, that used to mean something to you. Like as an American, you made $1. Where do I want to spend that dollar? I'm gonna spend it at the local coffee shop because I'm friends with Earl down the street, and I'll go get a coffee there. But nowadays, people don't really think about where their money goes, and a lot of people don't think of the fact that, oh my God, I'm working a job for a mega corporation, helping them profit and run their business at the ground level. And I'm also buying my groceries at a megacorp grocery store. And I'm also buying brands on the shelves that are literally the same people that own the grocery store own the brands that are on the shelf, even. You know what I mean? Like, and then think about, okay, and then you're paying rent too, so then where is that money really going? Like, to the landlord, but then he's paying a lot of tax on the building. So then when you really do the math, like, you really are a megacorp slave. Like, you might think you have free will and you're free thinking, but they've designed the system so well just to funnel so much of a percent of your money back into the megacorp. Like, out of all that money you just made, let's say was it like 100,000 in a year? Like, really think about what percent of that money actually just went right back to the megacorp at the end of it all. It's like a lot. So we need to have labels like people that think about where they spend their money. I think we should call them free thinkers because they think freely of like and open-mindedly about where they're spending their resources. And then the people that mindlessly just spend their money into the megacorp when they know the effect that it's having and the gap that it's creating between us and between the classes. Like, those people, I feel like they should just be called bots because people already kind of use that term, you know, like a bot. They just kind of go with the system, with the flow.
Right, like an NPC.
So that'll help us to have pride in being a person that, like, thinks about where they actually spend their money. Like,
Yeah, I definitely agree. We should be careful about who we're supporting as far as businesses go, and a dollar, it doesn't come by easily, you know, like everyone busts their ass to get some money. So
not these
yeah,
days.
yeah, we gotta use the money that we work hard for and use it in places that we have to think about where we're um, distributing the money. Just like, you know, it was so hard to make that money, we got to make sure that we think about where we're spending it properly, you know.
We really do, because that's where all the power is. That's the power move that the people have. We might still also have more guns than the government, but we also have the power of where we even choose to spend our money. And that's honestly has more power to me than guns. Because the military's got missiles, you know, they got bombs. If they wanted to, like, that'd be stupid, because then they'd have nobody to manipulate. They just bomb us all.
Right.
But like, anyways, the power's in the money, like, where we choose to spend it. You know, like, literally, if we all shifted the way we spend money and supported the community and the local businesses and the people and evened out the gap, because it's not the fact we're trying to abolish the government, we're trying to even the playing field. So now we have more power to make demands and, like, you know, like, if the people hold an even amount of power with the government economically, we then have more power in our voice of what we can actually, the influence we can have on, like, the laws and all that shit.
Another thing to be said about, like, if we want to actually make a difference in the laws and shit, we need to be more active. And I'm kind of a hypocrite in saying this because I don't really do this myself, but they make it like almost impossible to keep up with, you know, like you have to vote in primary elections, so you vote for the people that you actually want to be like in state officials, you know, like state government and local government, like your city's mayor or whatever. If you want to actually make like a difference, you have to start on like a smaller scale. But obviously they don't promote that shit like they promote, you know, like the presidential campaigns and stuff like that. So you have to keep up with that on your own time. And obviously they make that shit like um local elections go on like the same time you work. So like if you want to, you don't want to skip work, you want to get paid, you know. But that's something we need to keep an eye out for, is like if you actually want to, if you have like a idea on some laws and you want certain type of people to run the local governments, you actually have to go in and vote for the local elections, because we do have power to vote for that, but we don't have really much power in like the actual presidential elections, because it all goes back to the electoral college. That's like the first primary source, like, oh, where the votes go for the primary or for the electoral college. You know, they don't really care about the popular vote. It only is if it's like, um, I don't know, if they're like even out for the electoral college. I don't know if it is an even number. I'm not sure, but that's just another thing. They don't really educate us on this stuff that much. Like they touch about it briefly in like government classes, but you have to actually like go beyond the schooling to actually understand all this. It's a lot
Yeah,
deeper
I
than they it's a lot deeper.
I agree with that though, in the fact that like, why do they make the law so hard to understand? Like, it seems like they purposely make the law seem very confusing in the way they word things, in the type of overly sophisticated terms they use. Like, there's all these things that make simple things, very simple things, hard to understand. And that's like, seems to be for a reason. Another thing that doesn't make sense in society is like how we arrest a murderer and a rapist and a like extremist, and they all go in the same jail with a drug addict, a drug dealer, and like that's just something that doesn't. Another thing that doesn't make sense in our system is how, why is it not more case by case? Like, it almost seems like there should be a separate facility or program for like drug dealers and drug addicts who get arrested than like murderers and rapists. Like, it just doesn't seem like those two crimes should be of the same level. You know what I mean? Like, they require different. If you murder somebody, it's hard to come back from that. It's like, but
You
if you're
took a
a drug
loss.
dealer, drug addict, you probably just need more so like rehab, different tools to like start a legal business. You're probably either down bad or you have a depression or an addiction or mental health issues. So it's like, why don't, we could play that more separately by case, and like, if we actually wanted to see more of our criminals rehabilitate and become like a functional part of society, rather than just absorbing more of our tax money and just like constantly going back into the system and never like progressing.
I think something that would help with that case is if they decriminalize like drug use. Now, I'm not saying that it's good for people to go out and smoke meth or anything like that. Like, I don't agree with that. But the fact is, like, if you're arresting people just for getting high, you know, like you said, they probably have some sort of mental issue or like a lack of neurochemicals in their brain so they can be healthy. You know, like, that's like their own choice to do these drugs. And if they did something fucked up while they're on the drugs, then you could arrest them. But the fact that they're just getting high or like they have like drugs on their person, you know, I don't think like. And there's a bunch of people in jail for like smoking weed or selling weed or something like that. Now it's being decriminalized and legalized and like for recreational use in a lot of different countries, or not countries, a lot of different states.
No,
So
you're right though. It would benefit in the area of like, okay, when you find someone getting high or selling drugs, you should redirect that person to like, or you could mandate them still. Like, technically they're under arrest, but they're under arrest to go to a rehab facility and then get signed off by a doctor that they got the help like required, which that should be the standard thing for like a drug addict or a drug dealer,
yeah,
or, but yeah, it would definitely help the rehabilitation rate of like criminals by
right.
assessing it that way, because like in Oregon they did what you're saying where they decriminalized it, and we could have saw that benefit, but the execution just wasn't right. They didn't have enough like rehab facilities, and they didn't have enough like things set up so that when they did that, nobody had like the treatment once all those drugs were just running rampant, you know. they didn't have the systems to prepare for that
Right.
setup. So that's why you could look at a case like Oregon and think that didn't work out good when they decriminalized all drugs, because like homelessness went up, you know, streets got more dirty, everything, but it's because the proper systems weren't put in place before we did that. We didn't have, there was no like, oh, if a cop finds a person, this is the process we're gonna follow, and these are the facilities that we're gonna bring them to, and this is how we're gonna like mandate it. It was just like, all right, we don't give a fuck. We're just gonna let them do drugs, and like, we're not gonna bother with them, you know.
Yeah, there's a level to it, you know. Definitely don't want to, like, the thing is, if it's decriminalized, doesn't mean necessarily that it's more accessible, because like people will have to still make the drugs or whatever, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
for certain cases like weed, even like psychedelic drugs, like the only thing that I feel like people should be more so worried about is like what they're doing on the drugs, because if they're just doing the drugs themselves, like, I don't think it's really anybody's, you know, business what people do with their own bodies, you know. But
Yeah, I say you stick with the what's a good way to put it? Stick with the Fronto, the fungus, and the Franzia. You know what I mean? Like
what's the Franzia?
the Kush, the shrooms, and the wine.
Hmm.
I think those are like, if every person just experimented with those, and maybe you could put a few other psychedelics on that list, but for the most part, I think that's a safe trifecta of
Yeah.
like, if you actually want to like do recreational drugs, like either drink some wine, you know, get some safe weed. Don't buy street weed, but get some weed you know is safe, or get some psychedelics from somebody you trust, like shrooms. But other than that, any of these man-made drugs are gonna like fuck up your life and fuck up your brain. So it's like, they're not fun. There's nothing to learn from them. There's nothing like, they can't really be used as a tool. But like wine, weed, and shrooms can all be used as a tool if you cannot like abuse them, but like use them in moderation when you actually need them. They can be beneficial.
Yeah, I
Like,
was gonna say the same thing. Like, these drugs, no drugs, like if you're abusing them, are beneficial. So you have to use them, you know, you have to use them in a way where it's not taking over your life. Even something like caffeine. Like caffeine, if you're abusing it, you don't really get like a buzz from the caffeine, you know, it doesn't really pick you up like it would someone who doesn't drink it all the time. If you're drinking like 6 cups of coffee a day, you know, coffee doesn't really do shit to you anymore. All it does is make your heart pump harder and probably makes it more easy for you to get a heart attack. So
yeah, at that point, you're just using it to feel normal, but it's not even boost. It's not even having the effect it's supposed to have. You're just using it to feel like you normally would because you're used to drinking a bunch of coffee.
yeah, and people who claim that like weed is harmless, like it's like one of like the more harmless drugs that people can be using, but you're still ingesting smoke, which isn't healthy for your lungs. And um, when you get sober from that, or you take like a couple day tea break, you get way higher than when you're using it every single day. And I'm not saying that like weed is bad or anything, but with every single drug, it's like affecting neurochemistry in your brain. And if you want to actually like use it to its full benefit, you probably shouldn't abuse it.
Right. Like, if you want to actually find out how your brain functions without any of that shit, then you need to find out for yourself. And you'll never know. And, like, yeah, I respect that because you recently went through the journey of, like, you were smoking weed for shit, since probably like high school or middle school or some shit.
I started in middle school, yeah, and then I really took it up a notch when I was like probably 18 or something, smoking like daily, like several times a day,
So how many years is that? That's got to be like
like
7 years.
7 years or something like that.
So 7 years you smoked weed pretty much every day or at least every week. And
Probably
then
every day.
probably every day. And then
Yeah.
one day you're just like, I want to just find out how my mind is without this weed.
It was more so I started experiencing breathing difficulties, and that's what pushed me to like stop smoking. Cause I tried, like, I would be good for a few days if I didn't smoke that much or whatever, but I took like a hit one time and it instantly brought back like the breathing difficulty. So I was like, getting high versus breathing properly. Like I choose breathing over getting high, you know, because you can live
Got to.
without being high, but you can't live without breathing.
Yeah, for real.
But it was difficult, no doubt, but it took a long time for me to start weaning off a little bit of, my substance intake. But after a while now, I don't smoke anymore. The only drugs I be using is caffeine. Like that's pretty much it. I don't even drink coffee every day. Today though, I got an energy drink. They got like this monster shit from Aldi, and it's not even $1. So I was like,
What?
shit. Yeah, it's like
That can't be
89
healthy.
cents. It probably isn't healthy, but I don't drink it every day, so you know.
Yeah, an energy drink's nice once in a while, but yeah, he shouldn't drink that shit every day either.
Usually I just drink coffee, but lately it's not even every day. It's like if we have it made in the morning, because my sisters drink coffee too. I think my dad drinks coffee in the morning. But if they make some in the morning, I'll have some. If they don't make it, fuck it. I don't really need it. But when I was drinking a lot of coffee, I would need it every few hours to keep going. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to go get an energy drink. I'm going to go get a coffee or whatever and make another pot of coffee, you know? But
Yeah. Right now, all I've been on is a little bit of weed, and unfortunately, I've still been hitting the vape too. Cause that's
yeah,
one thing you quit too. You quit the vape, and that was like a multi-faceted addiction, kind of.
it was not easy. I still think about hitting it every once in a while, but
Really?
yeah.
That's
It's
fucked up, man. That shit like gets ingrained in your fucking brain.
yeah, like a buzz is nice, but it really doesn't last very long. I think like the main thing for me was like switching habits out for other habits. And I can't lie, I've been eating a lot more, which is good and bad. Reason why it's not the greatest, I started gaining like a little bit of unhealthy weight, you know. But I did fix my eating disorder. Like I definitely had some sort of like problem where I couldn't eat and I'd get super nauseous really quick. And I've had that for like several years. But quitting the smoking and shit, it allowed me to like just be more hungry, eat more.
So did quitting the vape and the weed actually fix like you feeling nauseous?
I think so.
Like you haven't had as many or even anywhere near as many stomach problems since you
Yeah.
quit?
I haven't even thrown up like once. I used to
And
throw up like
normally, yeah,
a
how
couple
often?
times like a month or something. For a while I would throw up like every day. I don't know if it was like it wasn't on purpose, I would get so nauseous from like the vape. It would hit me so hard. I'd smoke too much of that shit in the day to where I got Nick sick like so hard that I would throw up like bile and shit. Cause I wouldn't eat a lot. So I'm just throwing up bile. And shit
Oh
fucking
my
hurts
god.
and feels like shit.
No, this shit's serious, like 100%. I've like limited myself. I try to just smoke a little bit more weed so I don't try to vape as much, but I still find myself hitting it, and then just to feel like I can get more shit done or something.
Yeah.
But it's on my fridge. Like, I have like quit the vape. Like, it's on my to-do list, but I don't know. There's always an excuse you can make for yourself, and it sometimes it's hard to overcome those excuses. Like, I feel like one that I always go back to is like, oh, I'm in survival mode, and like I'm getting by right now and life's hard, but like once I'm in a better position in life, I'm going to quit vaping. Like, I won't need it cuz I'll be happier cuz I'll have more money, and I'll be able to eat whatever I want, and I'll be able to go places and like do things, and I won't feel like vaping, but it's just cuz I'm down bad and I'm grinding and I'm bored and I'm at the house. Like, that's like the excuse I always give myself. Like, I notice, like, I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's the one I always come back to, honestly. That's like,
I will say this, like quitting nicotine, it's hard as fuck. But if you manage to quit it, you save yourself like an extra, what, like 40, $50 a week? Or no, maybe like a week, 2 weeks, something like that. Like
I
$100 a
easily
month.
spend out here in LA, like me, I'm just like an average vapor, and I probably buy like one vape every week or two, and the vape costs like 23 bucks. So like,
It's like 50, 40 some dollars like a month, roughly.
yeah.
More
And
or
not
less,
only
depending
that,
on how hard.
you're saving yourself breaths too. Like, in the grand scheme of your life, like every time you hit the vape, like how many breaths are you actually losing? You know what I mean? Like, from inhaling something that isn't oxygen, you know what I mean? Like, it's got to be costing you at least like 3 breaths or more every time you hit it.
Something like that. I don't know, but
That's
it's
fucked
it's
up though,
it's
in the
definitely
grand
not good
scheme.
for you. It
Yeah,
affects your
agree.
neurochemistry as well, cuz like I don't know what it is about them things, but they make it so addicting, and it doesn't really do a whole lot when you smoke it. It's not like weed where you feel high. It's literally like a quick buzz, and if you smoke daily, you hardly even feel that buzz. It's just like a fixation on just like
Uh,
hitting something.
the feeling is literally like the false realization that you're getting a full breath, because that naturally sends you dopamine. Like, if you were to just take a deep breath without smoking anything, it would still give you some dopamine. Just like that action in general gives you dopamine because it's supposed to feel good. Because you're supposed to take a deep breath and you're supposed to feel good from doing that. But then that, I feel like, combined with, then you're picking up a flavor. Like, your brain tricks itself into thinking that you're eating something because there's a flavor too. And then it's like, oh, I'm getting two things that my brain thinks I need: air and food. And then, there's more that goes into that, with a little bit of buzz, a little bit of like whatever feeling you might get, like lightheadedness. But that's all it is, really. Like, it's not any more magical or like luxurious than that. It's just like,
And that's the crazy thing. They make like that drug doesn't really do a whole lot for you like physically or mentally, but it's like one of the more addicting ones.
it's so good at addicting you, but it has no benefit. It's like
Yeah,
designed to addict you
practically.
and to make you feel like so designed to addict you that you feel like you want to hit it every like 5 minutes once you start using it.
When I was smoking that shit, I swear it never left my hand. Like it was, I always had it on my hand, or like in my hand. I always was hitting it. It was like after every real breath, I would smoke that shit. Sometimes I don't even think I'd take a real breath. I'd be just like hitting it back and forth. Like,
Oh God, dude, that's scary, but that's what I hear from a lot of people that have vaped for a long time. Some of them were like, yo, I had to quit vaping because I realized like I was breathing manually. Like, normally you're just supposed to breathe and like I don't know, but your prehistoric part of your brain is just supposed to like pump your lungs without you thinking about it pretty naturally, but when you vape a lot, it does seem like it's almost like you're thinking about breathing. You're like, oh yeah, like breathe. I don't know. It feels more like you're manually breathing than like if you don't smoke, it feels more natural.
I don't. Yeah, I'm glad that I'm off the shit. Yeah, sometimes I do think like it would be nice to get like a vape and just hit it once or twice or bum a vape off my friend or something, but I still worry like because honestly I don't know if I've even recovered fully. Like it's still like I can live my life normally, but I still feel like a tightness in my breath. Like I don't get like a fully deep breath 100% of the time. Sometimes I'm chilling, sometimes it's good, but randomly sometimes like it'll just be a little bit harder. So I don't know. I might have some like actual long-term problems from it, but at least I can manage my life now. Like went to the gym yesterday, and I like did a full hour of cardio or something like that. I think it was like an hour. Well, I was just like walking for a majority of it, but towards the end I started speed walking, then like jogging. But for an hour, that shit was fucking rough. I was like pouring sweat.
Trust me, bro. You've come a long way. You just probably can't see how far you've come because you're you, but if I was to jump into your body right now and probably experience what it's like to like breathe through your lungs, it would probably feel a lot better than mine. Cause I fucking tried to run this morning. I tried to fucking jog. I was like, yo, either gravity got like stronger or I got more out of shape because this running got harder, man. Like, I fucking ran for like maybe like 30, 45 seconds, just like at a pretty fast jog. And I was fucking exhausted. Like, I was just out of breath. I was like, had to stop, just like catch my breath. Like, okay, I'm good again. But it's been a minute since I ran because when you smoke, cardio seems like the last thing you would fucking do. You know what I mean? Like, because it's just specifically works your breathing and shit. So
Yeah.
I bet, but all this to say, I feel like your body has come a long way. Just the fact you could even do an hour of cardio just means like your lungs are better than they were. 'Cause somebody that vapes could not do an hour of cardio, like
It
most
was like
likely, I promise.
it wasn't like super intense cardio, but yeah, like a majority of it, like I said, was like a brisk walk, like just like a little bit quick of a walk. Then it started becoming like for like the last 20 minutes, I started like or maybe like 10 minutes of the last 20 minutes, I started doing like a fast walk, and then like the last 10 minutes, I did like a jog. And I fucking was dying. I wanted to quit so bad. Like when it was, I remember looking, I was like, shit, this is gonna be hard. And I felt like my fucking heart, like, I don't know, it was just like, it was just painful, to be honest. But I still
Damn.
just like pushed through it. I don't know what it was, but maybe it was my heart, maybe it was like somewhere in my chest, but it just felt like really like tight.
Sometimes you get that runner's cramp too. Like I get that sometimes, or you even get it walking sometimes.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, it wasn't easy by any means, but I just kept pushing through it because I was like, I don't know, I just
All
wanted
this
to
to
push
say
myself.
though, if he can do it, y'all out there can do it. Like this man was fucking, and to say I can do it too, and I'm getting there. Like I'm making progress and shit, and I haven't been drinking or anything. Like I live a pretty healthy lifestyle besides hitting the vape and shit. But either way, it's to say like you can definitely get off it. If Jin got off it, cause this man had been doing it as long as someone, does it growing up, and he managed to fucking break the habit because he genuinely wanted to break the habit. it's
I was
like,
basically forced to, honestly. Like breathing is definitely better than, getting a little buzz that you get for like 2 seconds in the morning, and then it just wears off.
yeah,
But
fuck vapes, man. Fuck vapes. Let's be advocates for that shit, cause that shit, it hooks a lot of kids young. They think it's cool. They think it's something to do. They're bored, whatever. They want to feel something, but it's really not worth it. There's so many other coping mechanisms that you could learn instead of just picking up the vape and not getting anywhere but fucking up your breathing and getting a little buzz. Like you could be learning other coping mechanisms that are actually healthy, like Jin's doing, like working out or like cooking more than you would, like you can fill that time with better shit for yourself.
another benefit of like quitting like drugs and whatnot is you have way more vivid dreams, and it's really
100%.
like it's really weird because like I forgot like how weird dreams can be, but they're so vivid. Like it feels like you're somewhere else. Like it really does feel like you're, you know, like in real life. You don't realize it till you're out of it. Like, oh, that shit was weird as fuck. But like, it's
We
every
should
single
talk,
night.
yeah, we should talk more about dreaming and like, experiences we've had in another episode. I feel like we should maybe wrap it up because we've been on here for almost 2 hours. So
For sure.
it's a good ass episode. We talked about a lot of shit.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of good topics. Um, I don't know. To leave you guys off with something, I just say, uh, probably try to switch out bad habits for good habits. And no one's really perfect, so like, it's kind of hard to like actually make a big change like that. But you could start small. But health is definitely more important than being addicted to drugs, and a lot of people be throwing away their lives because it feels so good to be high. And I used to smoke a lot, do a lot of psychedelics. Like I was like addicted to a lot of that shit, and um I would just tell myself that it was okay to do it because I was young and like I was getting some sort of mental benefit from it. Like I felt like it was adding something to my psyche. But when you do drugs so often, it's like you start to lose your mind, and not in the sense that you go crazy, but like I literally couldn't even remember what I was saying half the time. I'd be like in a conversation and just be like, "Hey, what did I just say again?" 5 seconds later, I'm talking. What did I just say? And it's hard because like you feel stupid when you can't like actually have a focused sense of thought. So what I'll say is just be healthy, try to keep your life. Life is precious, and not everybody gets to experience it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. I agree with everything you just said. Like use it if you want. See what it's about. If you think you can trust yourself with the three things we talked about, like that aren't hard drugs necessarily, but there's a limit, and there you have to think of them as teachers and tools, not like something that you have to like live every day. Like if you're gonna use it, but generally, yeah, I think we should like clear our minds, see what our minds are really capable of, and we'll talk more about dreaming and stuff and how it's affected by drugs because I feel like we both have a lot of crazy like dream experiences and also just it's interesting just how the two like correlate with each other. But as far as notes I want to leave them with, there's a lot of big announcements like that are gonna come out and a lot of big opportunities that are coming. The album's coming. Me and Jin are gonna try to hop on here when we can and like just keep having these conversations and as long as we like to, as long as we're having fun doing it, we're gonna keep doing it and eventually maybe we'll try to get a real physical space or in-person space where we could have some guests, or we could even have a guest virtually in here in the next few episodes. But y'all, please subscribe to the Digital.WAV channel, as well as the USTATH channel and the Star channel, and just so you can follow up with what we're doing, the new music videos. You know, we might do some vlogs eventually, stuff like that. So yeah, just make sure you subscribe. Appreciate all y'all for watching this shit and being interested in what we have to say. And please feel free to comment anything you would want us to talk about on another episode, or if you have any solutions to these societal problems we've been talking about, definitely leave a comment, or feel free to like DM us on Instagram or something. And we'll keep growing, we'll keep building, and we'll keep having fun in this life. And time to buy back our freedom. It's time to fucking enjoy these moments with the people we love and just show the world all the art we've made.
What he said. All right. Peace out, world.
All right, peace.
We'll catch y'all later.
End this shit. Leave studio.
All right, peace out.